So when it comes to the council, they love to take your money because you give them 180 quid a month and they tell you that they give you value in return. However, it turns out that councillors are not paying council tax. I'll say that again. The people that are setting the prices and the people that are sending you the bill. It turns out that they might not actually be paying it themselves. Because there's two directly related freedom of information requests that we're going to check out today. And honestly, both of them just left me absolutely speechless. Which, to be fair, for me is a lot. So the first one says that Liverpool City Council has received a request under the Freedom of Information Act to identify a name serving councillors who received a summons for non-payment or late payment of council tax. Essentially, they want to know how many councillors have not paid their council tax, which to me is like pretty fundamental stuff. And it's a question that sounds pretty simple and it sounds pretty interesting. But it actually gets far worse. Because the FOI response says that as required by the Act, and this is the council themselves speaking by the way, we have carefully considered the balance between the public interest to know this information and the rights to privacy over tax matters for the individuals concerned. And those two words, individuals concerned. So there are individuals. And it says, following a review, we have confirmed our view that the balance of public interest in these specific cases is for non-disclosure. Meaning that they're not actually going to give you the information. But this is just how the FOI system works. Like they're asking a question about the Liverpool Council, but Liverpool Council is like, I don't know if we should give them this information. So they just say that it's not in the public interest. Honestly, it just makes no sense. Because if you think about it, a member of the public, right, has taken the time to upload a Freedom of Information request. Not to mention that I personally find this interesting, and as a taxpayer, so do you. And just for my American and international viewers, council tax is like 150 to about 200 quid or more every single month. And if you refuse to pay it, they can send you to jail. Like obviously you'll go through the process, you could end up in court and whatnot, but one of the outcomes genuinely could be jail. And look, I know that times are tough, right? Prices are sky high. So if these councillors are in financial difficulty, I get it. Maybe they're struggling. However, these people are setting the prices, and they're the guys asking you to pay the bill, but they're not doing it themselves. And honestly speaking, I can guarantee you that they earn way more than I do. But they want me with my 2 kids to pay the same council tax as them, whilst they're earning double if not triple. And before we move on to our second directly related and probably worse FOI request, there's some time for some government gaslighting, because the FOI finishes off by saying that we can also confirm that no councillor has breached their obligation not to vote on a council tax motion whilst in arrears. And that is some really strange wording, because the original question was just genuinely about any councillor in arrears. But they responded by saying that nobody voted whilst in arrears. It's just skipping the subject whilst giving you some information, which is even weirder when you consider that 2 seconds ago, they were saying that none of this is in the public interest. But they're willing to, just sprinkle on a little bit of helpful information that, sort of covers their back. It really is very odd. But what does all of this mean for you? Well, the councillors might be able to skip paying their council tax, but you? Well, no. Because a recent FOI request, also for Liverpool Council, says how many summons regarding non-payment of council tax were sent out in 2021, 2 and 3. It's about 30,000 a year, and that works out to 99,222 court summons for council tax arrears. And it goes on to say how many notice of liability orders were sent out in those years, and they had over 56,000 liability orders. Again, most likely ending up in repossession, jail or court. But those are just your consequences. Because if your local councillor skips paying his council tax, which on a side note, they get paid in taxpayer money, Well, those guys get the benefit of secrecy. And look, you can tell by my accent that I'm not from Liverpool, but I'm actually going to go one step further just for you. I'm going to try and ask this same question to a load of councils. I want to see just how many of them are skipping on their bill. So if you want to see that, then that's why you should join the 25,335 of us. And have a look at this video about a low traffic neighbourhood with a dark spin.
This country has gone crazy.